it kicks off with the return of the best bout
Yeah.
machine, the cleaner,
Versus
Kenny
the machine.
Omega versus the machine, Brian Cage. And I tell you what, two guys that know where the weights are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These guys know where how to do the push-ups and the pull-ups and all
They
that
also
kind of
know where the
stuff.
supplements are, at least one of them for sure.
Hey, you know what? Good. I
Yeah.
hope you do it all the time. If as long as it makes you feel good, fucking awesome. Just, monitor it. And again, excess is bad in all situations. But in this matchup,
Just make
Kenny
sure you give
Omega.
your skin time to like relax. If you stretch it too fast, it's gonna pop.
Ooh, I tell you what about
We're
someone's
like Rob
skin.
Terry. Remember that guy? We
Oh,
were like,
geez.
dude, if you hit that needle one more time, you're literally gonna explode, dude. You gotta
Mm-hmm.
stop. Anyway,
Yeah, we'll talk about skin here in a moment too. But Don Callis's Brian Cage versus Kenny Omega. What do you think about Kenny Omega's new entrance music? That's where I first want to start off with this.
the entrance music is fun, but I gotta say, Kenny Omega coming back, I'm waiting and begging for the moment we get the one thing Justin Roberts has done that I've found endearing in 10 years is the North Carolina, the whole shtick thing. And I get that's not what he's doing right now, but he can still have that swagger, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, it's fine. It's good for what it is, but, I'd give it a good solid, A minus if I'm.
I don't like it. And
Okay.
let me clarify. I like it for big moments, right? If we get the payoff, what it feels like eventually we're going to get to this is Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega at a pay-per-view. I want this entrance that we did tonight. But when we're just doing Brian Cage, Kenny Omega, give me that.
When shit gets serious, then we can be serious.
Then you can slow it down, right? Then it has that aura of bigger than what this actually could be, that kind of stuff. But when it's just, no offense, but when it's just Brian Cage, give me that dot dot da da dot 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 da the sweeping and all that stuff. Like I want that weekly, and you say kind of like how when Bryan Danielson. Now, towards the end, he just fucking did Final Countdown every single time. But how Bryan Danielson was doing his normal entrance, and then he would save the Final Countdown for the big moments. That's kind of what I want Kenny to do here.
But Rewind 89 reminds us that let's not forget Brian Cage is one of the few lucky ones to hold the most prized possession in professional wrestling history, the FTW title belt.
Hey, yeah, he was. That's a fact.
That happened.
That happened. That is a thing that happened. But we get all the fun stuff here. We don't get too crazy. I don't feel like we got out of bounds with any, cradle bomb off the third rope kind of thing.
Yeah.
But V trigger, no one kicks out of it. Kenny Omega hits Brian Cage with the one winged angel.
Yeah.
And right after that, guess what happens? Don Callis family, we're punching. Kenny Omega.
Don Callis getting involved.
Yeah, Don Callis even said, I'm going to punch him too because I don't like him. Yeah. So then that brings Will Ospreay because he doesn't like Kyle Fletcher and the Don Callis family, but Kyle Fletcher. So then they kind of take everyone out. And right when they're like, we got the upper hand, here comes Takeshita. And he's like, oh, I'm the shit. Molly whops him, gives Kenny Omega a little how's your father, and then Kyle Fletcher and Takeshita take out Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. So what do you think about our first opening match and then the fallout from it?
It felt like a lot of mixing of things. It feels like we still don't have nailed down exactly what we're doing with Kenny Omega. I mean, I guess, he's getting mixed up in this Don Callis thing, I guess. But, I just, not a whole lot of like hooking me here, at least, right? Like, I didn't feel like anything like really made me be like, oh man, I wonder what happens next.
Yeah, I think I may have said it last week when he did his promo and then we started the Don Callis stuff, but I don't want retreads. I want brand new stuff with Kenny Omega. I don't care about Don Callis and him anymore. I don't care about the family. No offense to Will Ospreay, but at this current point, I don't care about those two guys fighting each other again.
I agree with Fuck Your Mama 2 times in the chat, though, here. Takeshita is the shit. He calls him 3 contract Takesh. Man,
yeah.
He's got a swagger that doesn't look like one even that's where it's like, oh, look at this confident motherfucker, right? It's just like he comes out and you're just like, yeah, you're just like, yep, some shit. You know what I mean? Some shit could go down here, right? Like it's just Takeshita is just, I don't know. Yeah, he's different. He's very unique.
Yeah, I just want. This might sound a little mean, and I don't intend to make it be that way, but I want the Elite to get out of their comfort zone. Hangman seems to be doing it, right? He's going in there with the Swerve Stricklands, the John Moxleys, and I know Kenny Omega has too, but I'm just saying, like, the Elite need to stop playing with their friends. You know what I mean? I want to see, I would have loved if Bobby Lashley would have debuted and Kenny Omega came out right afterwards and was like, "What's up? I'm back." And he's like, "Oh," and then we just have a clash of just craziness. I mean, say that to yourself. Think about this time
Kenny
last
Omega,
year.
Bobby Lashley. Yeah.
Yeah. What the fuck? Yeah. Right. Or the Hurt Syndicate versus Kenny Omega, right? You can include MVP and Shelton Benjamin, but like just to do the Will Ospreay, Don Callis, it's like, man, come on. I'm fucking done with, like, it's boring.
Well, there's nothing new they're going to say, right? Like, as good as Don Callis can make you want to boo him, he said it all about Kenny Omega.
If you've never seen it, right? If you're just a new AEW fan in the last couple weeks, as an example, and you're starting to see this, watch all of it. It's going to be great. But if you've seen it once, you've probably seen it twice. And as I mentioned,
69 Me Don is classic television.
Oh, yeah. That's the best. But what I was going to say is, you know, again, he's not Kenny Omega, that isn't the youngest wrestler on the roster. He obviously had something wrong with his old belly, right? And his intestines. So let's not just fuck around and just do some fun. Like, if I swear to God, if he does after this, right? Like, let's say he loses to Will Ospreay, right? If he fucking gets into a program again with Chris Jericho, fuck off.
Or the Young Bucks, right?
Yeah. You know,
Young Bucks fight against the Young Bucks. Well, here's what would piss me off is, okay, so he gets through this, and now we get the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are in a battle, and then he gets injured and actually can't wrestle again. I'm going to be like, really? You fuck? Yeah. Like, we did that?
What the hell?
For all that, guys.
Yeah. Not, and again, I hope none of it happens, right? As far as like injuries or anything, but not to say we're on borrowed time, but we're kind of on borrowed time.